up, y'all? This is Bernie Smolesby with the Watch to Miss This, and you're listening to Black Press Radio.
Ain't never short. Ask my coach, jump shot never off. What? And I'm from the well-known Brooklyn, New York. Okay.
For BlackPressMagazine.com, I'm DC Livers. Today is May 13th, but in hip-hop world, today is the day that Remy Ma, the famous rapper, was sentenced to 8 years in prison. On the line, we have author Janaea Black, and she writes books about women in prison, and I couldn't think of anyone else that would be better for this podcast. So, hey, Janaea, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, DC?
Good, good. Let's just bring our audience up to speed just a little bit about who you are and what qualifies you to talk about imprisoned black women.
Well, I am an author. I have a trilogy series called the Prison Chronicles series, which are fiction stories about 3 different women who are in the same prison facility, and they're being given the opportunity to tell their side of the story as to the events that led up to them being incarcerated. And my involvement with these fictional stories led me to do some research about women in prison and the statistics surrounding, the imprisonment rates of African-American women and some of the reasons behind, the crimes that they commit. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics in 2000, when they began the war on drugs, the rate of women imprisonment raised by 95%, which is astronomical number. It's crazy how much that went up, but it also stated that African American women were 3 times as likely as Latinas to be incarcerated, and 6 times more likely than Caucasian women to be incarcerated. So that was pretty disturbing to me. But a lot of the crimes involving women being incarcerated tend to be drug related, and other than that, they are usually crimes of passion.
Well, in this particular case, have you followed the Remy Ma case at all?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, obviously we're going to be basing most of our conversation today on what happened in the courtroom, and we'll have some documents available on blackpressradio.com related to the case. But there was a gun involved, and like you said, I think it was a crime of passion, and her fiance was also a famous rapper, and he was in the courtroom, and there was some melee related to that. But where I want to kind of stay today is not necessarily on Remy Ma, but I want to talk just a little bit about hip-hop violence and incarceration, where on one hand, when the hip-hop guys, when they have legal battles, they always seem to get off. But lately, the black women that have been from hip-hop that have been going through legal battles haven't been as lucky. I'm thinking really of Foxy Brown recently, and of course now Remy Ma. What's the deal with that, and why is it important for people like Little Kim and Foxy Brown to do prison time? Does it make them more popular on the street?
You know what, DC, I agree with you 100% because that is a disturbingly true fact that you just stated there, and I think that overall that the prison thing is glorified in hip-hop a lot anyway, so people tend to look at that as a cool thing, but when these women are facing it, you can tell by, the way that they're carrying themselves through the procedures that it's not obviously something that they're looking forward to. And I think that these court systems are just looking to make examples because they feel like, I don't know if they feel like this is what needs to be done to start waking people up as to why, these people should steer away from doing the things that these women are doing to get in trouble, showing that they're not going to tolerate it anymore. I don't know, but it is unfair because it does seem like the male hip-hop people are getting off a lot easier than the women are. And why that is, I don't know. The only reason I can think of is that they just want to send a message that it's not going to be tolerated.
Well, this week, actually beginning on Friday last week, R. Kelly's trial began in Chicago, and many people are anticipating that he will walk away from the charges.
Well, look at how long it's taken them to bring him to trial. I mean, R. Kelly's been able to travel around and tour. How long has it been since these charges were brought up against him? And it's like now they're finally bringing him to court. It's been, 4 years now?
I think it's closer to 8. It's been at least 6. But I think closer to 8, yeah. I believe so. What I'm mentioning really is black women. He was charged, or he was allegedly charged for having sex with an underage person, an underage black female, and videotaping the act. I think they're more concerned about the videotape than anything else. If he does get found guilty, they will sentence him to up to 15 years. R. Kelly, of course, is 41 now, and the Cook County Judge, Vincent Graham, that's going to be handling the case, they're in the process right now of picking the jury. And a lot of girls are going to be watching that case because they're going to kind of determine whether or not, what their value could be. But we talked a little bit about this case and about black women and their image last September when we had our Girls Empowerment Brunch. And we tried to talk about the way that black women are portrayed in the media, in hip-hop, and in rap videos. I guess today's ruling could be seen a bunch of different ways. It could be seen by some people as additional street credibility for Remy Ma. It may help her sell some records. But you've met some of the women in prison, right? What's their life what's it gonna be like for her really? I mean, in terms of the people that you've met, is it gonna be as glorious as it sounds like it is in hip hop, or is it gonna be something totally different?
Well, again, I really want to make it clear that the stories that I write, they're fiction. The stories that I write are fiction, but I have met several women that have been incarcerated, and no, it is not a glorious experience. The women that I've had the opportunity to sit down and talk about, it's described as it's hell. They're separated from their family, from their children in a lot of cases. You're locked in a cage, for so many hours a day. They let you out for 1 or 2 hours, to get some air, but, you're told what to do all the time. You have to ask to do simple things like go to the bathroom. And although, many of the women that I've been able to speak with about being incarcerated, it's not as violent as, a lot of the stories that you hear with the men that are incarcerated. But, I mean, there are cases of violence sometimes. But the biggest thing is you're locked up like an animal, and you're separated from your family, so it's not glorious at all.
But we've been through many hip-hop stars who've managed to get themselves arrested and do jail time and actually do even better. Even outside of hip-hop, I can think about Martha Stewart. I mean, she's more popular today than she was when she was incarcerated. Is it really that big of a deal anymore?
I don't think that it is, because like I said, people tend to glorify it. I think that a lot of these young people, they look at it as a street cred, if you come out and say that you've been in prison, and, they kind of look at that like that makes you someone to be revered instead of, being a bad thing. But I just really think that somehow the images of what the media portrays as being good and bad has to change. I think that's where it has to start, because that's where a lot of these children are getting their information from. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, those are the ones that we have to try to prevent from being incarcerated in the future.
Well, we're going to be following up on this story, but I wanted to just real quick clarify our conversations about R. Kelly. I was able to find the information on it. So prosecutors claim the videotape was made sometime between January 1st, 1998 and November 1st, 2000, and that the girl was born in September 1984, and Kelly was indicted on pornography charges on June 5th, 2002. So it's been about 8 years.
Wow.
Well, 6 years, rather. It's been about 6 years since he was indicted, but about 10 years since the tape was made. So it could be viewed by a lot of people as, picking on celebrities, but other people feel like, we're finally going to get some justice. So I'm sure we will not be hearing the end of this conversation anytime soon, but I want to thank you for being a part of the conversation today. Can we have a website where we might be able to find information about your books and what you're doing?
Sure. It's www.black-smith-enterprises.com.
Well, I'm Gerald G. Money. Good money, gave money, got money, and gonna get a little more money. Originally from the True Story, New Jack City. Alan Payne portrayed me in New Jack City. Wesley Snipes portrayed my best friend Nino Brown. But through the grace of God is redemption. It's to get back what was taken away and getting it back right and doing it right according to the plan of God for me. And I hope this will inspire a lot of young men today that it's not about selling drugs, because there's many ways of getting paid without selling drugs.